In this video, I will provide a high-level overview on how to DJ, intended to get beginners off the ground and make the learning process a little less intimidating. Now, DJing is the act of playing pre-recorded songs back-to-back and mixing them together for some form of an audience. For example, a club, party, festival, or the radio. Your main goal as a DJ is to play the music that engages with your crowd the most and provide them with an exciting atmosphere. This all happens in DJ software. This is where the magic happens. However, it can be difficult to perform all the actions needed in the software with just a mouse and a keyboard. So to help, you're gonna need to get your hands on the proper hardware in the form of a DJ controller. In this video, I'll specifically be walking through how to use the Hercules DJ Control Impulse 200. And while there are certain features specific to this controller, for the most part, the concepts I'm about to go over are universal to most DJ controllers. Similarly, the software I'll be using in this video is called Juiced. And again, this may have unique features or a different interface when compared to other DJing software, but the concepts can be transferred to whichever application you may use. So let's get into the meat of this video. Starting off, let's make sure we have all the equipment set up as needed. Plug your controller into your computer and open up your DJ software. If you so choose, you can send audio to speakers by using the master output on your controller. This is what the crowd will hear. And you can plug in headphones into your controller, and this is what you will hear. This allows you to mix your tracks and ensure everything goes smoothly before you send it out to the audience. Now, let's mix two songs together. In general, it's best to pick two songs of a similar BPM, or beats per minute. This is essentially the speed of the song, where higher BPM tracks tend to be faster and more upbeat, and lower BPM tracks are slower. You can find the BPM of your songs in your DJ software as a reference. Now, ideally, you could even pick two tracks with the exact same BPM. This is so when we mix between the two songs, the transition is seamless, as the beats line up with each other. Otherwise, if the beats don't line up, the transition is jarring and won't feel as natural for the audience. Now, if the BPM of your tracks aren't identical, that's not the end of the world. In fact, that's even part of your job as a DJ. There's a workaround where you can temporarily speed up or slow down a track until they match. This process is called tempo matching. We'll get into how to do this in just a moment. So for now, we've chosen two songs with the same or similar BPM. The next thing to do is load these songs up in their respective DJ decks. Deck 1 is on the left half of your software and hardware, and deck 2 is on the right. You can have more decks going at a time, but for a beginner, I recommend only working with two. We can load a song in your software by clicking and dragging a song from the library onto a deck, or on your controller by navigating your library with this knob. Rotating left and right changes which song is selected, and pressing down on the knob moves into and out of directories. Once you've highlighted your desired song, you can press the load buttons for either deck 1 or deck 2. So, whichever method you prefer, load up two different songs with a similar BPM in decks 1 and deck 2. Now you can play either of these tracks independently of each other by pressing the green play button on its respective deck. Pressing this button, again, also pauses your song. The slider in the middle, called the crossfader, determines which deck is sending audio. The slider being all the way on the left will only send the audio of deck 1. All the way on the right will only send audio of deck 2. And in the middle will send an equal amount of decks 1 and 2. Everywhere in between will send a proportionate amount. Essentially, sliding this between your decks is your main tool in mixing your two tracks together once they've been beat matched. Beat matching is when your two songs are playing simultaneously on each deck. They are tempo matched, the beats hit at the same time, and the tops of each bar hit at the same time. This sounds like a lot, but we'll walk through this step by step. So let's learn how to beat match these two songs so we can transition between the two. First, ensure you're only sending audio from either deck 1 or deck 2. Your choice doesn't matter. By pushing the crossfader all the way towards that deck. Next, hit play on both your decks. And notice what happens in your software. You can see visually the audio of your track playing over time, as well as where your beats hit in the form of these vertical lines. The vertical lines with the red arrow indicate the start of a bar, and our goal is to manipulate the song on the deck that's not sending output until it's playing in sync with the track that is sending output. And we can do this not only by lining up the vertical lines, but also matching the lines with the red arrows. So, the first step in the beat matching process is tempo matching. If you chose two songs with the same BPM, then this step is finished. Otherwise, you can speed up or slow down the track that's not playing by moving its tempo fader, which is right here. This adjusts its BPM by a certain percent the more you move this fader, and we want to move it until the BPMs are matched. This controller is pretty neat in the fact that it provides a beat matching guide, where these arrows will light up to tell me what direction to move this fader to adjust its BPM. When I land on the correct value to sync their tempos, both the arrows light up for just a second and then go away. This allows me to see that, hey, these tempos are matched even without looking at my computer. Adjusting a song's BPM will warp the track and speed it up or slow it down, which, if you're playing it, may sound funky. But keep in mind, this is intended only to be used for the transition of your songs, and then you can always slowly adjust it back to its original BPM once the transition's over. So now that we've matched our BPMs, let's line up the beats of our tracks. You can move a track by spinning the scratch deck on the song that's on standby. You can turn on the vinyl setting on the deck, you know, the for major adjustments, since you are rapidly fast-forwarding or rewinding the track. Or you can spin the outer wheel of the scratch decks for fine-tuning, a more precise adjustment. And again, this controller, Hercules DJ Control Impulse, provides me with the beat matching guide so I can see which direction I need to adjust my beats by using these beat align arrows. So again, I can verify I'm all lined up and I don't even have to look at the software. I think that's pretty neat. And now, at this point, we've successfully beat matched our tracks. You can move the crossfader slowly to hear the transition into your other track. If it doesn't sound perfect, you may need to adjust your beat grid. Remember, the vertical lines we're using as a reference was created by the software, which is usually pretty good at detecting where the beats land, but sometimes it's not 100% perfect and could be off by a few milliseconds. To adjust where these vertical lines are, you can adjust your beat grid. In this particular software, you can do so by clicking this arrow next to your track name and selecting Edit Beat Grid. Now I can adjust where the beats are labeled for this track, so the next time I go to play it, the beats will be lined up properly. You only have to do this once per track. At most. Sometimes it's good enough the first time you import it. So consider going through and verifying your beat grid is set up correctly for each song you plan on playing before you start your DJ set. That'll just make your life a little bit easier. At this point, once you transition between the tracks, you can stop the track on the deck that's not sending audio, load up another song, and start the process all over again. You know, let your current track play for a bit for the crowd to hear and enjoy, but behind the scenes, you're beat matching with the new song that's coming up. Whenever you get to the point where you want to transition it, start crossfading, rinse and repeat the whole process. In addition to transitioning between your tracks, you can also manipulate the audio of your songs by either adding in filters, EQing the high or low ends, or adjusting the gain, the volume, of your tracks by moving these knobs. And for the most part, that's the basics of DJing. There's more to go out and learn, of course, including queuing up certain points of your tracks, adding in samples, other effects, but for a high-level overview, that should be enough to get you off the ground and help you ease into the world of DJing. So, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.